Hello, hello. It has been a while, at least for me, since I've recorded a video just because with the new year, super busy. So today I wanted to go through some of the books and art books that I've had for a while that I've shown on my Instagram, but not, of course, on the channel yet. So all of these, most of these I have read except for one. But finally, because I realized a while ago that, I'm a very big Yokoyama fan, Yuichi Yokoyama, but I hadn't shown any of his works on the channel before. So uh, I took them out of my shelf today because, yeah, it was just weird. I'm a really big fan, but I guess I never showed any of his works before. So let's just jump into it. First one I want to show off, which is less common, and I don't know if it's exactly rare, but it's definitely less common and a bit harder to find than his other works. This one here is called Room, and it's a very interesting one because it's very like rough and sketchy and all that type of stuff. So this book here is also on very like heavy stock paper. So let me just remove the OB. So this is what it looks like underneath. Room. And the OB is very big for some reason. I'll put that on later, but here it is. So Room, I believe I got, did I get this one signed? No, this one wasn't signed. But here's the inside of it. A lot of different stories. The first story is called Room. But if I just flick through it, and you can sort of see for yourself what I mean by very rough, very sort of bare bones, and mainly just sketches. Very different to his other manga that he's put out. So I don't believe that this here has been translated into anything because a lot of his other works have been translated into English or French or anything like that. But this one here, I do not believe that there is an English translation. I will have to check, but if there has been, then I have never seen it before. So I'm only just like the first chapter in, but it feels very Yokoyama in terms of like his stories. Sometimes very mundane things with crazily designed characters. I love his character design so much. The faces are really interesting, really funny to me, and your signature, sound effects as well. But that's what I'm going to assume is most of this book here. Different one shots about the usual wacky stuff that Yokoyama likes to write about with his wacky characters. But yeah, like for example, you can see here it's like a pasted on character. It's extremely rough, but it is quite a long book. I think it does go up to like 200 pages, something like that. I love these like very stern facial expressions of his characters. But yeah, this one's a really interesting one. If you're into Yokoyama, I would, it might be a hit or miss for some people, but I love everything Yokoyama. So even this, I still wanted to pick up, despite it being very rough. I can put out down like a link in the description of where I found this from. It was from a Japanese site. They have a lot of Yokoyama stuff. It's official as well. They sell some of his like original works too, sometimes signed works as well, because I do have a number of like signed books from Yokoyama from that website, so I will put that in the description. But yeah, a very interesting book for any Yokoyama fans out there. Very different from his other stuff visually. Here's a back. I'm guessing it's like a character list of sorts. And some pictures of his workspace. There he is. Yeah, that was Room. very unique Yokoyama book. But continuing on with the Yokoyama train, here I've got one that is. This is a book that consists of three one shots. One of them is in Glaeolia 3, I believe, 30th century. So this book is titled Burning Sounds. The back of it. And I'll take off the Obi as well. Actually, no, I'll leave it on. So inside, this one here is signed. So I got this one signed, which is nice. He does do a bunch of signed stuff as well. But these are the three stories. The second one is 30th century. The third one is Burning Sounds. I'm not sure what the first one was, but also kind of a very interesting one as well. Like you can see how it feels like things are like pasted on. But I really love this book, especially for the titular story as well. Try to not get the shine in. But extremely chaotic. And I should have explained before, but Yokoyama Yuichi, if you've never heard of him before, he does some very interesting manga, which he likes to title neo manga. It's populated by very sort of bold character designs, weird sort of things happening. His plots are like sometimes nonsensical or sometimes very bare bones, and you're just along for the ride, the visual journey, more than anything. And it is like audio visual, because if you can read the sound effects, it's very in your face. Like his sound effects are very iconic. It's his sort of style. And the last story, Burning Sounds, which I'll show you, is I think one of the best instances of him using the onomatopoeia to his advantage. But yeah, I find his art style very, very addicting. Like it's not too detailed in terms of like shadowing or anything, but he is a master of perspective and chaos. You know, so much random stuff happens. And if you've read his other tankobons, time as well. He likes to sequence a lot of his work so that there is like you can get a clear sense of time passing. And it's very fun. I think Plaza is the best example for that, in my opinion, of watching a series unfold in sort of like real time, I guess. Okay, so this next one is 30th century. It's to be, well, I'm not exactly entirely sure what happens here, but this is in Glaeolia 3. I'm not sure if it's the full version that's in Glaeolia 3, but definitely is in Glaeolia 3, the manga anthology by Glacier Bay Books. Shout out to them. But insanely chaotic stuff. It's so interesting how I love these eyes, by the way, but it like looks pasted on, you know, different parts of the drawing pasted on each other. But it is chaos. Very fun stuff. This guy appears a lot. Well, I'm not sure it's the same guy, but like that character design, the cone sticking out of him. Things are burning. And so we get to the last story. This is Burning Sounds. So there's no plot in this one. It's just literally the onomatopoeia sound effects burning. But it's just so visually appealing to me. This one, for example, says goro goro goro. You got ba, blah blah blah. All of these sound effects sort of in the physical realm of this manga, and they like interact with the surroundings, the characters as well. It's so cool. Just visually, it's just very stimulating. And for Yokoyama works, I like to like take a step back because reading it up front when you're close to the your eyes are physically close to the book, it can be too chaotic. But if you take a step back and look from the art from afar, I think that's sort of the best way to approach and read his manga, just because there's so much going on. Got Papa here, more, Kukuku, lots of stuff. This one is amazing, amazing stuff, and all it is just sound effects burning. But it's my favorite, my favorite story from this book out of the three. So I don't know, man, it's addicting. It is addicting. And here's the back. 2020. So pretty recent, actually. Pretty recent. But yeah, I know 30th Century is in Glaeolia 3. I'm not sure if any of the others are in any other English series out there. But those two were the Yokoyama books that I wanted to show off for today. I still have a lot more Yokoyama books. I'll just show them off in another video because I don't want to move on to some other stuff for variety. This one is a very interesting one. This is a manga that I read called Class X by Ito Hidemi. And what's cool about this is that this is signed, which is so cool. And this is a very interesting story because, let me just stick up the OB, it's a bit hard to flick through. It's all in color, or most of it is in color. And I believe this is their debut manga work. So essentially, it follows a group of psychic girls in like a school. And it's got this very watercolor. Is it watercolor? It looks watercolor to me. Feel to it. And again, all of this is in color, so that's really cool. But it's essentially split up into two parts. The first part is us getting introduced to these girls, their powers, their relationships, because there is a little bit of sexual stuff happening as well. But it's portrayed as them exploring their sexuality. So yeah, pretty much just like a slice of life for the first half. This is a really cool page. Them in the pool and them getting to know each other, that sort of thing. But what I really like is the second half of this story, which actually gets into a story. So here, for example, they're levitating different objects. Exploring their powers, introducing us to their powers. And the way it's told, all the framing in this manga is pretty interesting, kind of unique as well. Wholesome stuff, mainly wholesome stuff. Then you also get some stuff like this where it turns into just like, one color. What they're doing here is they're joining their powers together to call down a UFO. And here you go, yep. UFO comes down, and they're successful, and it stops there. So that will be important for later because they get called by, I believe it's like the headmaster or something of the school, and they get in trouble. They get in trouble for calling down that UFO. And here they are, they just escaped the school to go bowling to talk about their powers, their future, and when they come back, oh, they're still, they're using their powers here at the bowling alley. There's some weird stuff. I can't get this page. Okay, here we go. All right, so now we go into, I believe this is where the second part starts, where there's not much color anymore. So this black box descends, and this is supposed to be like their headmaster or their principal. And it starts speaking to them and tells them off for using their powers, which apparently they shouldn't be doing. And so they get punished a little bit. But what happens is like a transfer student is dropped into the sea. And this is the student here, arrives and shows off a bit. She's a little bit intimidating. Seems that her powers are quite strong. And so what happens after class is that one of the girls approaches her and they sort of fight with their psychic powers for a bit. Here's some fight scenes, a bit of action. But after they fight, they sort of make up, and the girl, the transfer student, sort of confesses that something bad is going to happen. But when she says it, it's bleeped out, and we never know what exactly is going to happen. So if you see here, bleeped out. I'm trying to read it. It looks like English, but it's hard. Don't know what it is, but she's saying to her that something bad is going to happen. They need to escape. So it does seem like the story transforms into one that showcases a dystopia, because their psychic powers are sort of linked to their freedom and exploring their sexuality, but the school forbids them to do that, and they become very sort of restricted and oppressed because of that. Here's a little bit of extra stuff. Here's the principal again. They all hate it. I mean, I don't know if the box itself is the principal, but it's like talking to them. So maybe there's someone else behind that. But it seems like the transfer girl was either taken away or killed or something like that. And that makes the entire class sad. Especially this girl who, had fought her and met up with her. And she starts using her powers more, and you sort of see the symbolism there of her using her powers being equated to her freedom as a woman. And then she breaks the box, shatters it with the table, the same table that the transfer girl had thrown up in the class when she arrived. So what they resolve to do now together is to essentially just escape the school. So they band together and join their powers. A very cool sequence of panels. Around in a circle, they all seem happy, liberated. This is really cool as well. Very simple, but super effective. There's like an explosion of light. So they probably got their powers off and they have all disappeared. So that's the school there. And they've hopefully fled that school. So this last chapter is an epilogue. Oh. Give me a sec. last chapter is an epilogue that follows the aftermath where two people sort of go down to investigate what had happened, and they talk about the events and what they think had happened, and find a bent spoon representing the girls. So yeah, this one was 2020, drawn and published in 2020. So it's a very unique one, and I believe it's the only manga that Ito Hidemi has done. But it's so interesting. I believe they maybe do illustrations more, like that's their main thing. But manga, this is the only manga out right now. So it's such a unique one. I love reading this book and going back over it because not only is the story unique, but the art style, the colors, character designs are pretty unique as well. So this was a really great read. Highly recommend if you can find it somewhere in the wild. And last but not least for today, it's not manga, but this is an art book. So there's a series of these illustration making and visual book. All of them focusing on Japanese artists. This one here is one of my favorite artists as of late, MON, MON. That's their name. I showed this off on my Instagram as well, but I'll take the hoodie off too. I might have to turn off the lights for this just because there's a lot of glare to it. But the main thing that I really love about this artist is that for a lot of their art, they have such a wide variety of colors, but it doesn't feel like it's overwhelming. Like the colors bend, sorry, not bend, blend together very well. So yeah, this art book here, let me turn off the lights. The lighting might be a little bad for this last part, but I do want to show off the artwork as best as I can. So it's a combination of sketches, of color, artworks, of their process as well. At the back, it shows pictures of each stage in their work. And yeah, I just love the color schemes of everything. Like this, for example, there's so many things going on, but it feels very like harmonized, a lot of synergy between the colors and the designs. Very intricate stuff. But I highly recommend you to pick this up because it's not hard to find. There's a series of these illustration and making books. I was just so happy this was announced like what, 2022, 2023, something like that. Because I had been following MON on Twitter for a long while, and finally they released something physically because I believe this is their only art book that they've released. They've done cover art for some other works, some other books, but not a book of their own. And they're sort of a more like recent artist, younger, I guess. Well, I don't know about younger, but yeah, recent because a lot of their works in here are like 2021, 22, 23. So still kind of new, but here, for example, you can see, like, I'll just go back. Some of the process. I think I can maybe turn this on again. Yeah. Some of the processes they go through when making their art. You get the full picture. Very interesting if you're an artist and you want to see how these things go down. Turn it off again. Yeah, this one's just the only downside is a little bit like the art, the pages in here, very susceptible to the glare. Except for these. These are like little sketch pages. There's no glare here. Character designs, that sort of thing. This one's great. This one's really good. But yeah, I really love how much detail is in it. There's so much detail in the line work and the color, but at the same time, it doesn't feel too chaotic. It feels very elegant, and it fits really well. So I will put their socials as well in the description. But man, if if they had posters or anything or prints, I would cop one so quick. And they're very versatile with their colors as well. Like they do a lot of different color schemes. And a lot of their art is like, I don't know, I would describe it as being very like shiny, especially those with a lot of color. These ones like 2022, more mundane settings. Oh, this one's insane. Double page spread. And it goes into detail from the start. I'm just drafting it, penning or penciling the details, putting the ink on, getting down the colors, so many colors, and finally just like filling out the rest. Very complicated, but that's your final product. And you've also got an interview at the back for those who are interested, some of like the background to the artist, and that sort of stuff. So yeah, this was, oh, here we go. Oh wow, yeah, they are young. They were born in 2001, and that's their Twitter and their Instagram, so go follow them. Yes, this was published March 2023, so it was a recent book. But yeah, highly recommend MON. Their works are amazing, so visually appealing. Yeah, so that was it for today's video. Went through some Yokoyama finally on the channel, Hidemi, and MON. Alright, see you guys in the next one. Bye.